Hello and welcome to Tuesdays with Maurizio. I'm Adam Maurizio. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by Maurizio La Cava. Maurizio is one of the leading authorities on effective presentations. He's an author and the CEO of a communications firm that helps companies deliver messages with impact and clarity. Maurizio, thanks for coming on the show today. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm Adam. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everybody. I'm doing great. What about you guys?
I'm doing great too, man. Just to set the stage for the conversation, I'm really curious to learn, how did you become the go-to guy when it comes to effective presentations?
We are startup guys, right? And everything starts from a problem, a personal need. I used to work for a chocolate multinational company and also for a consulting company before. And I came to the point that I understood every time we were influencing people to make key stakeholders, to take key decisions, they always went through a presentation. And so since I understood that presentations really matter, and there are a lot of money at stake, or important decisions on presentations, depending on presentations. Therefore, I decided to get a lot more in depth on this topic. So I quit the corporate job, started my own journey, and I started making presentations for others up to the point in which I came with my own methodology, which I started teaching to others. So basically, my same journey was transferred to others. And when I started seeing others achieving amazing results with their presentations, then I said, okay, we've got something here.
Yeah. We've all seen, you mentioned like how everything's a presentation these days. By some estimates, there's 350 presentations being started on average every second of the day. I don't know how they came up with that, but I thought it was compelling. How did we get to a point where presentations became the default?
I think in a way they've always been. So the point is simple. Presentation, in my opinion, is not just a PowerPoint. It's not just a bunch of slides. But a presentation is an interaction between people. At a certain point, you will have to convey your ideas in a way that they reasonably influence a certain decision. That could be raising funding for your startups. That could be influencing people to approve a budget or acquiring a new client, maybe selling your freelancer profile. Anyway, there is a moment in which we have to convey our ideas in a way that influences the others. And even though today this goes through a PowerPoint very often, this doesn't have to. So I believe that these is something, some presentation is have always been there, and this is something related to human nature.
Do you think the PowerPoint is overplayed, and do you ever coach people not to use them?
So that's a great question, Adam. I believe that PowerPoint is an amazing tool. However, the problem is that PowerPoint is a kind of tool that we all learn by doing. One day we started working. We put our hands on PowerPoint and we started working. How many times did we really stop thinking whether that white patch was the right way to do? Or maybe deleting placeholders randomly, not respecting templates, killing pages, or adding animations? How many times did we really stop and learn how to use the tool? So the tool is a very powerful tool, but of course, as many other tools, it is just a tool. The problem with PowerPoint is that I like to call it its fake friendliness, meaning that you don't improvise on Excel, right? Either you know the formulas or not. But with PowerPoint, if somebody asks us, okay, can you make a few slides about something? We all artists and we start playing with it. The problem is that when what I see from the courses that we deliver at my company to corporates, very often, even the people who really believe they are PowerPoint ninjas, I can tell you that there is a lot of room for improvement in the way PowerPoint is really used. So I believe it is a powerful tool. It's not overused, but it's often misused, in my opinion. And yes, sometimes I teach people not to use it at all, because it's not always needed. It depends on what you have to do. It's a powerful tool that helps you to bring ideas to life in a way that is that is memorable, because you can input images, associate images to your talk, and this is very powerful. Imagine an image is perceived 60,000 times faster than a text, and therefore it's easier to understand, it comes faster to me as an audience, and it requires less energy to understand, which means I can put more energy to recognize and memorize it, therefore it's more memorable. PowerPoint allows you to do that. But I mean, you can perfectly do it without. And also, the most important thing is not really the slide itself, but how you storyline your message.
Yeah, I really like the way you put that. It should be more like Excel. Like there should be a framework on how you use it, do it effectively. I don't think I'm that effective at it. I need to spend more time with lean presentation design. But the one thing I do know, and a mantra I use and tell like team members of mine, is the slides are for the audience, not for you. Does that resonate at all?
Oh my God, this is like Bible. The slides are for the audience. This is something this is probably one of the most powerful tricks we could ever share today in today's presentation world. However, it's not easy to put it into action, because very often the way we design slides is based on personal flavor. Do I like it? Do I think it's nicer? Or maybe does my boss like it? Would my boss approve it, right? But who's the audience at the end of the day? Is it your boss, or is the audience of your boss? Because sometimes you prepare the slides for your boss, or maybe, and then he goes, or she or goes to present. So the point is that very often we should keep in mind that choosing an animation, a transition, or maybe avoiding it, or maybe choosing a color or a text, a font, these choices, they might be right or wrong depending on what we need, the kind of action or the kind of experience we need to trigger into our audience. So we should, in my opinion, step forward from the fact that we like a slide or not, and we should start wondering whether the slide works or it doesn't for our audience.
Yeah, what do you think is like the most common mistake people make? Or I guess just said another way, like what separates like a good presentation from a bad one?
There are a million things we could list here, Adam. I think that the key principle in presentations is putting the audience under the spotlights. Very often when we present, we feel the attention of the audience. Like everybody's watching us, and there are expectations on us, and they expect us to deliver a brilliant message. And we want to be brilliant in front of people because we fear to be judged unprepared or boring or ineffective, whatever. So we feel the spotlights are on us. But I believe that a powerful presenter, an impactful presenter, is the one who's able to turn these spotlights to the audience and put them at the center of all our choices. From the moment we start preparing, strategizing our storyline, to the moment we deliver our presentation. So the moment we start, I mean, if your audience changes completely the way you deliver your you build your message. So where should I start? We often say the first thing to analyze when you start preparing a presentation is the level of awareness of your audience. How much do they know about your topic? What is do they know something so you can introduce a problem, or maybe they are not aware at all. They have a problem, and therefore you need to create some background, or maybe they don't have tech skills, and maybe you need to talk about the tech topic, and so you need to give them some background. Right? So the audience influences the storyline. The audience influences the way you visualize your messages. There are audiences that are that maybe go through your presentation by reading on a smartphone, or so you need a vertical scrolling behavior, or maybe they are going to sit and watch, or maybe they are going to watch a webinar online, and this webinar they're going to watch it recorded maybe through a tablet. So depending on the experience and the audience, of course you need to design your presentation accordingly. And finally, the delivery. The delivery is very important as well. This happens to the world of public speaking. Therefore, everything that relates to the fact that you're able to connect with them empathetically, apart from the slides, but being there with people, that makes a huge difference. And this requires Nowadays, I believe a little bit more technological skills than before, especially before COVID, because most of the presentations went online. And I see there is a very low culture on how to really to impactfully use online tools. Many people, they just share the screen and they go the way they've always done. But I believe technology can help us a lot. And so this takes us to the difference between online and offline presentations. But no, I'm not sure this is a topic we want to deal with. So I'm going to stop here.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And it is a hurdle, though. A lot of the presentations, I almost think we give more presentations because they're online. The barrier to get there is lower. So you got to find some ways to. I really like the word you use of like making impact. I had a chance to speak at an industry conference this past fall, and my takeaway was just that, there's a difference between doing a good job like you would do at school and maximizing for impact. How do you coach people? Because you mentioned, I just want to double click on what you said about, creating empathy and a connection with the audiences. Because, you got to do the blocking and tackling. The slides have to be right. It has to be the right level of detail. But how do you really help people unlock and create that connection and impact with the audience?
I believe the most valuable way to approach a presentation is a step-by-step process. So what I would do is, first of all, as we were discussing, define the level of awareness of my audience. How much do they know today? Then what I want to know is, what is my goal? What is your goal? So what do you want to achieve with this presentation? What do you want them to do that they wouldn't have done without your presentation? This is what we call the end goal of your presentation. And this is important because people, if you need to deliver a presentation to them, this means that today they're not ready. They miss a bit of information that you have to share. So the idea is you define the as-is level of knowledge today before your presentation. Then you have to design the to-be level of knowledge. So the state in which you want them to be after your presentation, and this state should be as close as possible to them taking action. So to the point in which for them is natural to take action, given the fact that, of course, we still need to push them at the end of the presentation. Once we define this, it is important to understand what will the objections be. So at this point in time, I will always ask, what are the objections of the audience? Why shouldn't they believe the new level of knowledge? What you're there to tell them? Sometimes they just have a different point of view. So you have to first deconstruct the current point of view and rebuild the point of view. Sometimes you have them just tired. So you need to reconquer their attention and their trust, because the presenters before you, they lost their trust, therefore their attention. And so once you define the audience, the goal, and the resistances or the objections, now you have on your table, on your canvas, okay, all the ingredients you need to make it impactful. Okay, these are, in my opinion, the key components that we have to go through when we make a presentation. All of these nowadays it is, of course, the result of a brainstorming that you have to do. Like, take a piece of paper, forget PowerPoint, start thinking, why shouldn't they believe what I'm there to tell them? Often in business, this is about data. So you have to learn how to present data, for example. This is a key topic. But the cool thing about today is that you can also challenge your script with AI. So a very cool thing that I often do is, once for example, preparing for a speech, I do the as-is, I do the to-be level of knowledge, say, okay, this is where I want to take them. Okay, what are the resistances? And then I start listing my resistances. Now, I know that my presentation has to contain information to overcome all the resistances, because if I overcome all the resistances, at the end, my audience will be persuaded to act. But I might miss some resistances. If I'm lucky, they ask me a question. If I'm unlucky, they won't ask any question. So this is the moment in which you need to be very careful about the fact that you anticipate as much as possible all the resistances. A cool approach is the following. I might ask you, okay, picture yourself the moment immediately after you deliver the presentation. Imagine it went wrong. It didn't work. Why did it go wrong? What are they telling you that made it go wrong? Now, these are what we call the objections, resistance. Once again, they guide your contents. And you can challenge. Once you have your script, you upload it to any LLM, from GPT to Claude and Copilot, etc. And what you can do is you ask it to challenge it. And this is very cool, depending on the audience, because you can get a lot of ideas you might not have thought about that helps you to reinforce your presentation script.
Yeah, I think I really like the idea of going after the resistance, because I think you can, one, build a lot of credibility with the audience, and two, it's a mechanism to avoid my least favorite type of presentation is you give one, everyone goes nuts, popcorn's flying everywhere, and then nothing happens.
Nothing.
Because you have some silent people out there that aren't asking questions and they just say you did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. If the action doesn't happen at the end, it's either because you left some resistances unsolved, and therefore they go like, I'm not convinced for some reason, but you didn't hit that reason. Yeah. Or because you didn't push them at the end. There are three key components in presentations I love to, when sometimes they say, okay, if you had to summarize everything we are going to tell your audience today here in the podcast, I would say three key points. In a presentation, to make it impactful, you have to have three components. The what, so what, and now what. Now, what is the background information that you think is the context. You need to give them some context, right, so they can appreciate the so what. So what is why they should care. And finally, there is a now what. I mean, think about an Amazon.com landing page. You want to buy a book, you have a call to action. And everything else on the page motivates is there for the only reason that the user clicks on the buy button, add to cart, buying one click, whatever it is, right? But we need to have call to actions at the end of persuasive presentations, because otherwise nobody will act.
Yeah. Do you mentioned taking the audience from the way things are today to the way they should be, or in this case, the way you want them to be. You want to get a call to action. Do the best presentations follow a mythological arc? I know in our company, we always talk about the hero's journey. How do you think about that?
I love it. I love that. Storytelling is one of the most powerful, yet I believe misused techniques in presentation, especially in business presentations. Because very often when we talk about storytelling in corporates, what happens is people say, the common resistance, talking about resistance, is that people tell you, well, we present data, we present P&Ls, we present sales charts, so there is no story we can tell about it. That's not true. Storytelling is not just telling stories, in my opinion. Storytelling is the way you tell information. And one of the key points about storytelling arcs, in my books, I talk a lot about storytelling arcs. And in presenting data, where I do all the data storytelling, I use 7 different arcs, which are very, very powerful, very interesting, especially when combined with AI. One of the key points about storytelling is that they put the audience back to the center. Storytelling starts from creating attention, from hooking the audience from the beginning. There is a very cool chart published by Sequoia Capital. They say, if you have 60 minutes of meeting with your audience, you don't get 60 minutes of their attention, but there is a massive drop of the attention in the first 5 minutes, and this is 100% true. Look, for example, a pitch competition. You can watch the first pitch, second pitch, third pitch, but then you don't pay attention anymore unless there is something surprising coming up. And so the point is that most presentations fail earning the trust and the attention of the audience at the beginning. That's why storytelling works, because storytelling basically forces us to reimagine our script in a way that starts from what people really care. And people don't care hearing about the others. People care about themselves. And so it's very simple. If you want their attention, you need to give them a reason to care. And there is no kind of presentation which say, okay, after 5 or 6 minutes, I will do fireworks. No, it's too late. You have to do fireworks from the first words, because you have to give them a reason to dedicate, to invest their time on you. By the way, if you waste their time, you will never be able to give it back. So it's important to be responsible. And storytelling, I believe, works all the arcs. Okay, the hero's journey is one of the most famous ones. Campbell, of course. All these kind of formula are very effective in business as well, because they very often they start from creating attention, whether this is with a problem, with something happening all of a sudden. But all the successful stories start by earning our attention from the beginning, and that's why storytelling works, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was just listening to The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, and at the end of the audiobook, he's got a conversation with Tim Ferriss, and they say the number one rule for writing, and it sounds like the number one rule for presentations, is have something interesting to say.
That is fundamental. It's like when Boy Graham says, if you want to make a successful startup, make something people really want.
Yeah.
This is, I think, often misunderstood in corporate presentations, because very often people in corporate, they tell me, Maurizio, but I have to present what they tell me to present. Well, yes. But the reason why you're presenting is because somebody needs to take decisions out of it. So if you can make it interesting to them, okay, this will empower yourself and therefore your audience as a consequence. So the point is, very often we see presentations that, to give you an example, they start to show off everything we did. I spent 3 days on Excel, so I feel I have to show all the work that I did. But at the end of the day, the audience doesn't care about all the oysters, how do you say, all the shells that you open, but they really care about the 2 pearls that you found. So the point is very simple. They don't care about the find that to come up with the most relevant insight. You went through 3 days of Excel and pivot tables. They want to know the insight straight from the beginning. So go with it and generate interest straight from the beginning. Make it relevant.
I think it's a big thing people struggle with is your audience probably only needs to know 10 or 20% of what you know. And when there's a level of discernment that's needed to determine what is the pearl and what are the shells. You mentioned a lot of the mythological arcs in storytelling. Is there one like presentation, pitch, or speech that you think everyone should watch?
So I was thinking about there was a cool presentation that I noticed recently. It caught my attention from the CES. That is a presentation of the R1 rabbit. I don't know if you've seen it. So to be a little bit unconventional, because I could, of course, mention the Steve Jobs presentations and Martin Luther King's and so on. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, we all know this kind of stuff. So let's talk about something new. Recently, there are 2 presentations that caught my attention. One was the R1 Rabbit AI device tool. It's an AI companion that was pitched at the CES recently in the US. And if you look at the pitch that the guy delivered, it's going viral these days because now everybody talks about AI companions. It's this little red tool that has a camera that basically helps you use LLM with a voice. And therefore, it's very fast and it's very portable. And therefore, it helps you to bring in action what the current LLM don't bring to action. For example, if I ask GPT, can you book an Uber for me for a ride in the next 5 minutes? GPT won't do that, right? The Rabbit does. So if I ask GPT to organize a trip for me, I can get a lot of trip advice. So travel plan, I can get the best flights and this kind of stuff. But will it book it for me? No. So they created this AI companion concept, and this brings that to action. So it's an interesting concept. But apart from this, if you look at the presentation, it follows an amazing script. It's engaging, but it knows it starts from the problem. So it starts telling us that LLMs are amazing, but they're not bringing action in real life. And then it tells us that we are using smartphones, but smartphones are app-based, and therefore we always need many apps to do one thing. While if you have an AI companion, you can use the best of LLMs with all the apps all in one, and you just tell something and it does it for you. So it starts from the problem, and then it comes to the solution in a way that it flows so naturally that you feel attracted to the presentation. So one of the reasons why I believe it's going viral. On one side, of course, the technology is cool, but on the other side, the way it is presented, it's very interesting. So I can share the link afterwards, but it's like going viral these days everywhere. And this is one of the two presentations that I like very much. I was dissecting the storytelling of the presentation. If you follow it, it's a perfect storytelling that they use. And there is another one that I loved, which doesn't have slides. You might have seen it's the Mother Nature's from Apple, the CSR report presentation from last year. It went viral at a certain point, and they basically created this video clip in which there is Tim Cook with the team at Apple, and there is Mother Nature going to Apple, and they start to justify themselves in front of Mother Nature about their carbon footprint and their emissions and their plans to reduce emissions on iPod, on iPhones and whatever, and the shuffles. And it's very cool, and this went viral, and I was interested on the topic because if you compare the Apple CSR presentation video clip to the Microsoft CSR presentation, like there is a massive difference. One of them went viral. Everybody was talking about it at a certain moment, but nobody talked about the Microsoft CSR presentation. If you look at the slides from Microsoft, they are perfectly fine. I mean, they're well designed, well executed, nothing to say about the slides. But there is no story, and therefore they don't make you feel anything. They're not telling you any story. And Apple managed to deliver the message without using a single slide. I mean, Apple, they're master communicator. Even though I'm not an Apple user apart from my iPhone, I love PowerPoint and I love it on Windows, of course. But I mean, this is something that held my attention, and it would be nice. Maybe I will write something comparing the two presentations in the future. But yes, this is just to give you two examples that if people haven't seen, they should go and check because they are very recent and a little out of the box compared to the all but good Steve Jobs presentations.
Yeah, totally. We'll have links to both those in the show notes. And it sounds like Microsoft they did a great job, but they lacked impact. So therefore, no one's talking. You mentioned AI a couple times. How do you see the impact of AI impacting effective presentations in general? And then what other trends are you keeping up with?
This is a very interesting question, Adam. So AI is changing not just presentations, in my opinion, but everyone's way of working. It changed my way of working a lot, and I do believe that we are just starting with it. Very often when I get asked this question, people imagine, presentations are going to be designed automatically by AI. And Copilot from Microsoft is already trying to do that. I did try it in PowerPoint, and still the result is not amazing, but I believe it will get there. Especially if you consider the pace of the evolution of the AI, so they will get there. But I believe that nowadays AI is a powerful companion that we should use because it saves you a lot of time and it improves the impact of your work. So when I was saying challenge your script with AI, I was very serious about it. Sometimes you have to think about an audience and how to start your presentation. We call it the hooking strategy. On my blog, I wrote an article about 13 hooking strategies that are the most used ones. You can start with a joke. You can start with an impressive stat. You can start by saying something something that contradicts their point of view immediately. There are many techniques that you can use. One of the coolest things is that once you have the framework reference of the strategies you can use AI, for example, to generate thousands incipit, so introduction for your presentation. You don't have to think about it. You, of course, you have to steer the wheel, so you need to know where you want to go. But the cool thing is that it gives you, it's like your personal intern that gives you a huge amount of alternatives. So you can choose, or you can even combine. It can attack your pitch. You can try your pitch with AI. It can give you, so you can coach you as well. You can get some relevant feedback. I created my own GPT to challenge my presentations, the presentations of my trainees, so they can use it to iterate and test whether the script is powerful. So in terms, apart from design, which is like, yeah, we're getting there. I believe there are some tools that already claim they can do it. I tried some of them. I'm not very happy about the design that is coming out from AI tools right now, but the impact that it has on the storyline and on the strategy assessment of your audience, that is amazing. So I do believe that this is one of probably the most disruptive tool in our world. As in presentations for sure, and I believe this is something that we should absolutely keep up with, even though there is a big challenge. 2023 has been a year of AI, I think, for many of us. But in corporates, most people don't even know what we're talking about. In my classes, very often it happens that people, they've never heard or used about even GPT. I'm not saying other LLMs, and the point is because of privacy. So the biggest challenge here, at least for presentation at a corporate level, which is the kind of presentation that I deal with, is we need more knowledge in that sense. And I believe Microsoft is making an important step forward with the introduction of Copilot at the corporate level, because all of a sudden people in their PowerPoint, in their Excel, they will find Copilot next to it, and they will try to use it at a certain point. So this is the way AI might enter the barriers of corporate world and hopefully create some culture. Because up to now, we had 2023 in which everybody talks about LLMs. I tried doing something on Claude because it has more tokens, and then GPT has less tokens, but it has the code interpreter is smarter for analytics. But corporate people, very often they have no clue, and unfortunately, because they are there is a screen that has been put in front of them, and therefore they've been kept separated from this evolution, of course, for privacy reasons. So this is one of the most important trends, in my opinion, to invest on and keep up with in the coming year.
Yeah, it's going to, I mean, people are still going to have to know how to use it to the full effect and distinguish the art from the science. You know, the AI can do a lot of blocking, tackling, but you still have to do a lot of use the human discernment to make it effective. And it's important to also being able to judge the output that you get, because very often they hallucinate, so they give you output that is absolutely credible, but then it's absolutely fake. I was writing an article for a national newspaper a few weeks ago, and I needed some paper to support one of my points. So I asked the AI to do the research for me. And that was GPT-4. I asked it to look for an article that proved my point. So it gave me an amazing article from the Harvard Business Review written by an author, and this article was exactly saying what I needed to say. So I could reference to it. Thanks God, I looked for it, because I didn't find it. And when I asked GPT, I said, look, I looked for this article on the Harvard Business Review, but I don't find it. And GPT said, oh, sorry, I made it up for you. But I was about to publish it as a reference in a national newspaper, you know. So it's important that we know that there is a lot of responsibility that we still have in two moments, which is input. It's important to be able to prompt AI properly, and most importantly, in the output, we need to be able to judge, read, and understand. So never copy paste what AI gives you. Yeah. The idea. Got a question about art and science for you. You mentioned you were off the coast of Morocco currently doing some kite surfing. What relationship do you see between kite surfing and effective presentations?
There is one that I often mention in my courses. I don't know if you have ever tried kite surfing, but kite surfing,
No.
many people believe it's a matter of strength. It is not. Kite surfing, you have a bar. If you pull the bar, you have more power in your kite. If you release the bar, you have less power in your kite. So what you have to do while riding is finding the sweet spot, we call it. Okay, the sweet spot where you have full control, the right power that can lift you up and makes you ride. In presentations, very often we have to find a sweet spot between being productive and being effective. Very often people, they fear they need to be effective because they can't fail the next presentation. What the audience is going to think about me, or maybe I don't raise funds for my startup, right? And so I need to be effective, and therefore I pull all night, and then I spend days in and days out. I spend a lot of hours, wasting a lot of time trying to make the presentation work. But at the end of the day, most of the time, I see people wasting a huge amount of time. So the right balance, in my opinion, is finding the best quality in the presentation that requires the least amount of time as possible. Because apart from that, in business, we don't have time. So you need to find the small amount of time, a small amount of high quality time that you can input in your presentation to get the best output. That's it. Everything else is a waste. So finding the sweet spot, I think, is a good commonality between presentations and kiting.
Yeah, it sounds like you find the sweet spot both in the preparation and in the actual presenting.
Absolutely.
Well, Maurizio, you've been really generous with your time. What's the best way for people to keep up in the work you're doing?
I've got a website. It's MaurizioLaCava.com is my name, username, and that is full of free materials. There is a blog, there's plenty of videos. There are a lot of tools. All the tools contained in my books, they can be downloaded for free from my website. There is even a portal where you can download millions of high-resolution, copyright-free pictures, even icons or pre-made templates for PowerPoint presentations. So everything is free for our users. So I mean, the website is a good resource place that people can use to make their presentations better, more effective in less time.
Awesome. Well, we'll have links to that in the show notes. And again, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Adam, for having me. Thank you very much for the people who are going to listen to us. And I'm looking forward to meeting you again.
Yeah, thanks, Maurizio. Talk soon.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to Tuesday's Morsi. That conversation was with Maurizio La Cava. Maurizio is one of the leading authorities on effective presentations. What I loved about that conversation is that because presentations are such a relevant part of our life, Maurizio gave us actionable insights that we can use to improve our presentation skills and make more impact in the world. If you like the show, definitely let me know. Feel free to rate, review, and share on wherever you listen to podcasts. Look forward to seeing you soon.